Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe during this crazy time. And welcome to the first annual CMES Virtual Cultural Festival. So my name is Renee Spellman, and I am a PhD student in the School of North African and Middle Eastern Studies at the University of Arizona. And I also work with Dr. Lisa Adderley at the Center for Middle Eastern Studies as the outreach assistant. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy that you are all able to join this cultural festival. We've all had to adjust many things in our lives because of the COVID-19, so it's good that we can still do something like this, and so thank you for joining us. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm going to share my screen. Please type in the chat box if you can't see my screen, but it shows, it looks like it is working. So, okay. So this presentation today is about Arabic and Hebrew. It's kind of an introduction, a little bit about the history of each language, and some kind of fun facts. And, well, actually, first I'm going to tell you what I'm going to discuss. So first, I'm going to talk about shared characteristics between Arabic and Hebrew, the things that are quite similar between them. I'm going to talk a little bit about the language family, and then a little bit of history and facts about Hebrew, some common Hebrew phrases and greetings, and then the same with Arabic, so Arabic language facts and history, some phrases. And then at the end, I have a 3-question quiz. So if you are competitive, then try to take some notes or listen carefully so you can take the quiz at the end. Here we go. Also, I want to tell you, you can type questions at the bottom of your screen. I think there's a question and answer little icon, and you can type in questions as you have them, and at the end of the presentation I will try to answer as many as I can. So here we go. Okay, so first of all, Hebrew and Arabic are both Semitic languages. They're both written from right to left, unlike English, and their alphabets contain no vowels. So usually, if the vowels are written, they're in most texts they're not written, but when they are written, there are little marks that are at the top or bottoms of the letters. And what's interesting about Semitic languages is that they have like a 3-letter root that is the base of the language, or base of the word. They also have noun and verb patterns or templates. So just to show you what that kind of looks like, on the right-hand side here at the top, it says Al-Arabiya. And here we do not have any vowels, any vocalization. And then on the left side of that, it says Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And here we have at the top and the bottom these blue marks, which are the vowel sounds or symbols. And then these red dots here are related to the consonants or the letter. So they're not actually vowel sounds. And similar to Hebrew, on the bottom right-hand side, Ma shlomech or Ma shlomcha, you don't have here any signs or symbols, so it's just the consonants. But on the left-hand side on the bottom, there's a long sentence here in Hebrew from the Old Testament that shows the dots and the vowels that you can see on the top and the bottom of the word. So that's just want to show you kind of what that looks like. So basically, if you want to read Arabic or Hebrew, you have to, if it's not voweled, you have to know the words already, or you kind of get used to getting a feel for what it would be, or you can know maybe a word from the context. But usually when people are first learning Arabic or Hebrew for the first, maybe, the first level, they will put vowels in, but slowly take them out so that students can get used to reading without them. So talking about the language family, as I said, they're both Semitic languages, and they're under the Afro-Asiatic language family, which has many other language families as well. So if you see where it says Semitic, and below Semitic, you have Central and Southern Semitic. And so Hebrew and Arabic are both under the Central Semitic language family. So this is just kind of an interesting map that shows you the Afro-Asiatic languages. So by far the Semitic, which is the green, is kind of the largest area and the most speakers right now currently. Then you have Cushitic, which is the purple, and Omotic, which is the orange, and then the Berber, which is the yellow here. And then the blue here is Chadic. So just to get an idea of how many speakers there are for Arabic and Hebrew in the world. So Arabic has 420 million speakers and 30 different dialects. Hebrew has 9 million speakers, and most of those native speakers are in Israel, but the US actually has the second largest population of Hebrew-speaking people. And then just to get an idea of kind of comparing that to English, English has 1.5 billion speakers. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit now about the history of Hebrew, not detailed history, but just kind of the basics. So Hebrew was spoken between the 10th century BC and 3rd century BC. It's sometimes called the biblical or the classical period. And then by the 3rd century, Hebrew was overtaken by a Western dialect of Aramaic. Although Hebrew was still used to some extent among Jews until the 2nd century AD or CE. So basically, after Hebrew kind of stopped being a spoken language, it didn't disappear at all. It stayed very much a part of Jewish people's lives, and so it's a liturgical and literary language, and so it stayed that way until now. But between the 3rd century BC until the 19th century, 2nd century AD until the 19th century AD, it has been solely a liturgical and literary language. So Jewish communities that were spread throughout the world would speak their first language would be the language of the country that they were living in, whether it was Spanish or Ladino, Judeo-Arabic, English, German, or Yiddish. And then, so Hebrew was revived in a sense. I mean, it never died. It was always still here and very much an important part of Jewish people's lives, but it was revived as a spoken language in the 19th and 20th centuries. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. So because Hebrew was a liturgical language, that actually helped it to stay alive and stay strong throughout all the years. So that gave it two advantages. Firstly, it preserved its phonology to some extent. There's actually a community now that's what's called the West Bank near Nablus, that they're called the Samaritans, and they are believed to still read Hebrew and the Old Testament and the Torah in the kind of original pronunciation, because that community has kind of always been there, even when Jews kind of were dispersed throughout the world. So you've probably heard of Eliezer ben Yehuda. He's the father of modern Hebrew. He actually emigrated to Jerusalem in 1881. Excuse me. He was very determined to bring Hebrew back as a spoken language. And so he only spoke Hebrew at home with his children. And he tried to, gather other friends and colleagues that would also do the same, so that they could really develop a spoken Hebrew language. And he actually created the first modern Hebrew lexicon. And so his son was the first, I guess, kind of native speaker of Hebrew. And so as more Jews started to move to Palestine in the 20th century, they started using Hebrew more and more institutions and organizations also started using Hebrew, like schools and businesses. And so it started to spread and everyone started to speak it or to learn it and then to speak it. So basically the first generation of fluent Hebrew speakers was close to the early 1900s. So I just wanted to go over some basic greetings and phrases in Hebrew. We'll go over a couple together and then I'll have you listen to just a very short video that will help you listen to just a regular conversation or very simple greetings between two people. So the first one, what's happening or what's up, ma kore, ma kore. And then the second one, good morning, boker tov, boker tov. Third one, good afternoon, saharayim tovim, saharayim tovim. And then the fourth one, good evening, erev tov, erev tov. And then good night, laila tov, laila tov. And then here we have some questions and short little conversations that to learn just a little bit about Hebrew. On the left side here, I have a little chart which gives the question words in Hebrew. So who is me? What is ma? When, matai? Where is eifo? Why, lama? Which for masculine singular, eza? Which for feminine singular, ezo? And which for plural, elu? How, ech? How much, how many, kama. So on the right hand side here, I have another chart that has some more common phrases. So how to say peace, it literally means peace, but also means hello, shalom. And it's also like the Arabic salam, which also means peace. One way to say goodbye, lehitraot, lehitraot. To say how are you. So Arabic and Hebrew also differentiate between masculine and feminine. So when you want to say how are you to a man, you would say ma shlomcha. When you would be talking to a female, you'd say ma shlomech. So again, ma shlomcha if you're talking to a man, ma shlomech if you're talking to a female. How to say thank you, toda. So when you say toda, the person says babakasha, like you're welcome. And then, so number 5, I just have some, 5 through 8, just some mini kind of conversation. So if someone were to say, ma shlomcha, one would answer or could answer, ani beseder, toda. Beseder it means literally okay, or, you know, I'm doing okay, doing good. For the 6th one, what is your name? Ech korim lach, or ech korim lacha, depending on if you're talking to a male or female. So ech korim lach, and then the answer is ani Renee. So my name is Renee, or I am Renee. Then number 7, where are you from? Me'efo at, me'efo at. An answer could be ani me America, or ani me Israel, or ani me Sin, which is China. And number 8, where do you live? Okay, eifo ata gar, eifo ata gar. For female, it would be eifo at gara, eifo at gara. And the answer would be ani gar betusan, or but that's for male. For me, I would say ani gara betusan. Okay, so now you've learned some basic phrases in Hebrew. I will also be sharing this presentation with you after the festival by email, so if anybody wants to look at it again. So here's a short video about some basic
Shalom. היי. מה נשמע? טוב, תודה. מה שלומך? בסדר, תודה.
אהלן, מה שלומך? בסדר, מה קורה? מה העניינים? מה חדש? הלו?
בוקר טוב.
ערב טוב.
Okay, great. Now we're going to move on to Arabic. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history and then also some phrases in Arabic. So before Islam, it was the pre-Islamic Arabian tribes spoke Arabic. There are various dialects. So that was mostly an oral tradition. It wasn't a language that was really written down, although I think they have found some, archaeological evidence or stones with more ancient Arabic written on it. So again, like I said, Arabic was an oral tradition. Poetry was a kind of central to the tribal culture. And so those who were successful or talented poets, they actually brought honor and prestige to different tribes. So basically one's ability to recite poetry and ability to speak in a certain way was really an art. And so Okaz, a town near Mecca in Western Arabia, was a place where they hosted a poetry festival. So it's really interesting to think about way back in the, before the 6th century that people were going there and competing with their poetic abilities or talents. Also, so some other facts about Arabic. Like I said before, it's spoken there's some different ranges between 300 and 400 million people in the Middle East and North Africa. So it is also a religious language for about 1 billion Muslims in the world. It's considered a holy language, and it is the language of the Quran. So Arabic is also the fifth in the world as far as how many native speakers there are. And as I mentioned before, it's part of the Afro-Asiatic, it's in the Afro-Asiatic language family as a Central Semitic language. This little infographic is kind of interesting because it shows the spread of the Arabic language in the different time periods. So for example, the light kind of brown, the tan color, it says 632 by the end of the Prophet Muhammad's life. So this is kind of where Arabic was during that time. Now by 661, you see the kind of purple or peach color, sorry, not purple, peach color here. So Arabic had spread within 30 years all the way into this region here. And then by 750, by the end of the Umayyad Caliphate, it had spread even further into these regions here that are green. Sorry, didn't do that. In the regions here that are green to the right, to the east, but also to the west. So it continued all the way until Morocco, and then even went into Spain. So Arabic was used in Spain in Al-Andalus for a period. So as I mentioned before, Arabic is constructed, or words are constructed by a 3-letter root. So for example, ka, ta, ba, it's a root that has many different words and meanings related to writing. So for example, kitab, kataba, is book. Yuktub is he writes. Kitaba is writing. So based on those 3 letters, kataba, you can create or recognize several words that relate to writing or reading. So for example, maktaba, it's library. So that's something that makes Arabic, also Hebrew, not easy to learn, but it's helpful because you can see connections between words that have the same root. Also Spanish, because the Muslims were living in Spain for a period, Spanish has borrowed many words from Arabic. So I just wanted to share a few examples. So I don't speak Spanish, so sorry for my pronunciation, but here you have this Spanish word, and it comes from azayt, which is oil in Arabic, azukar, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but from Arabic it's sukkar, which is sugar. And then you have, gitara, from Arabic gitara. And then you have this word here, which comes from qadi, which actually means like judge. So like at a court, for example, qadi. And so here it's in Spanish and is mayor. So yeah, there's a lot more words that Spanish has borrowed, but these are just some examples. Also, English has borrowed many words from Arabic, which a lot of people don't know. But for example, alchemy, alcohol, algebra, algorithm, alkaline. So this L comes from the L in Arabic, which means the. It's basically the definite article in Arabic. And so as it came into English words, it was an L sound. So yeah, these are some other words: candy, coffee, cotton, ghoul, lemon, loofah, magazine, and sofa. So again, as I mentioned before, Arabic is considered a holy language. And so Muslims believe that Arabic was basically given to Muhammad directly from God, and that the language of the Quran is the language of God. And so it is very holy, it's very pure, and very important to Muslims. And it's the highest standard of the Arabic language. So linguists and grammarians always go back to the Quran as like a benchmark, a way to measure and to make decisions about grammar and linguistic issues. Now, so again, that's the, the classical Arabic is the Quranic Arabic. And so now with media, with new media and with newspapers and now internet and things like that, there is what sometimes we call modern standard Arabic, MSA. And this Arabic is generally used in literature, but also in newspapers, online news agencies, like the BBC Arabic, for example, Al Jazeera, they use modern standard Arabic. So this Arabic is a bit different than the Quranic Arabic. It's more modern, it contains more modern words that are more commonly used. And then, so beyond that, you have the Arabic dialects. So as I mentioned before, there's approximately 30 different Arabic dialects. And it's pretty amazing because even in a small geographical area, you can have many dialects. So it's sometimes hard to cut off the region where a different dialect ends and a new one starts. But so the spoken dialects are kind of considered kind of street language and, normal language, whereas modern standard Arabic and especially classical Arabic in the Quran are much more respected and revered. So there are different attitudes about which language is appropriate to use in a particular context. So if one were to give a speech, for example, then one would expect that the speaker would use modern standard Arabic. For example, a sheikh, a religious Muslim leader that's giving a sermon on like a Friday after the Friday prayer, would often speak in more classical Arabic. So it just depends on the context. If people are speaking within their family, speaking between friends, they're going to use their their native language or their dialect. Okay, so I'm going to show you a map of the different Arabic dialects. So as you can see, there are many, and they basically spread from North Africa all the way to the Middle East and Arabia, and then even down here into more central, it's not quite Central Africa, and then here to the east of Africa. So the dialect that I speak fluently is called the Levantine dialect, which is the light green color here. And this dialect is spoken in Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, the West Bank, and Gaza. Although in Gaza, they also speak more similar sometimes in some ways to the Egyptian dialect. And then you have obviously the different North African dialects, Moroccan, Libyan, Algerian, Tunisian, etc. So it's pretty amazing how many different dialects there are. And so if you go from, for example, Moroccan dialect, if a Moroccan native speaker were to speak with someone from Arabia, from a Yemeni that speaks a Yemeni dialect, and they were speaking 100% in their dialects, they would have a little bit of difficulty in understanding each other. So a lot of times what Arabic speakers do, if they're speaking with someone from a different Arabic speaking country, they will kind of mix in more modern standard Arabic and kind of level out their language so that it's more understood for the people that they're talking to. So that in itself is quite a skill. Okay, so here I have just kind of a fun song. Not really a song, but it's basically the Arabic alphabet. And it's someone and a young boy singing it by each letter. We won't listen to all of it, but I just wanted you to get a feel for the Arabic letters.
2, 3. أو إي بابو بي تاتوتي ثاثوثي
أو إي بابو بي تاتوتي ثاثوثي
سيجاجوجي حاحوحي خاخوخي دادودي
جاجوجي حاحوحي خاخوخي دادودي
سيذاذوذي راروري زازوزي ساسوسي
ذاذو.
Okay, so I think that's enough, but you kind of get the idea. It's one way to learn the Arabic alphabet. So now I'm just going to go over some basic or common greetings in modern standard Arabic, because again, there's so many different dialects, so it's sometimes more easy just to go back to the standard. But some of these phrases are also used in the dialects as well. So first we're going to look at welcome. Ahlan wa sahlan. Ahlan wa sahlan. And then, so the response to that, so one would say ahlan wa sahlan, the other person would say ahlan fik, or ahlan fiki, or ahlan fikum, depending on if you're speaking to a male, a female, or a group. So if I was speaking to a group, I would say ahlan fikum. And then another just very easy way to say hello, marhaba, marhaba. Sometimes for a response to that, I don't have it written here, but you can, no, I have it down here. You can say ahlan. So I could say marhaba, and someone could say ahlan, or marhabtain, marhabtain, which means basically two hellos. And again, it's a response to marhaba. So a way to say peace be upon you, which is also a common way for people to kind of say hello or to kind of announce themselves when they enter a room. You can say Assalam alaikum. Assalam alaikum. Okay? And the response to that would be Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam, which literally means and peace be upon you as well. Okay, and then to say just good morning, Sabah al khair. Sabah al khair. Okay, and the response to that would be Sabah al nur. Sabah al nur. which literally means morning of light. So like good morning, and then morning of light as a response. So Arabic is nice in that way because almost every greeting or phrase that they have, there's always a reply to it. For example, if you see someone working, you would say, يعطيك العافية, Allah يعطيك العافية, which means God give you health. And so the response to that, Allah yazidek al-afiyah, Allah yazidek al-afiyah, or Allah ya'fik. So again, it's a response basically saying, and also God give you health, or God increase your health. So there's these many polite kind of phrases to use and responses. Okay, good evening. Masa al-khair. Masa al-khair. And like Sabah al-khair, the greeting or the response for Masa al-khair is Masa al-nur. Masa al-nur. So it's morning of light, and it's a response to Masa al-khair. Okay, and to say how are you, there's different ways to say it, but a little bit more formal way is to say كيف الحال أو كيف حالك أو كيف حالك. In the dialects, they basically push that together and say kifak or kifik. So kif, and then they drop the hal, which hal means like your situation. So it's kifak, literally, how are you, male or female? Whereas kif al-hal is how is the situation, or kayfa haluka, how is your situation? So the response to that, there's definitely different responses that you could use. So you could say alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, which means praise God, or it means, I'm doing well, thanks be to God, I'm well. You could also say bikhair, bikhair, which means I'm well. You could also say nushkur Allah, which means we thank God. We are well and we thank God for our situation. To say goodbye, you say ma'a salama, ma'a salama. So it's like basically with peace, like go with peace. Ma'a salama. So here, there's some really neat videos if you want to check them out on YouTube. I think it's called Animated Arabic or something like that. But they teach you different phrases in Arabic, and they write the phrases in Arabic letters, but also in English letters, and then also the translation of it. So it's kind of fun if you want to practice your writing, or just kind of learn how to write in Arabic, or just learn the pronunciation. So we're just going to listen to a little bit of this.
In Arabic, greetings start with Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. It means peace be upon you. This is the first thing they say when Arab people meet with each other. And the answer for that is Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. It means peace be upon you too. And another short greeting is marhaba. 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 It means hi or hello. Now let's ask about the person. كيف حالك? كيف حالك? كيف حالك? It means how are you? And كيف حالك is for female. Whenever you are talking to a man, you will say كيف حالك. And if you are talking to a female, then you will say كيف حالك. In Arabic, they use both male and female gender, so remember this and take note about it. And the answer is أنا بخير. أنا بخير. أنا بخير. It means I am fine, or you can just say بخير. بخير. Fine. And shukran. Shukran. Thanks. And now ask about the second person. وأنت كيف حالك؟ وأنت كيف حالك؟ وأنت كيف حالك? It is for male. وأنت كيف حالك؟ وأنت كيف حالك? It is for female. It means and how are you? The difference is the last part of the word. Ka and ki. Ka for male and ki is for female. Always remember of the gender because it's important in Arabic to use it. And how to answer it. أنا بخير أيضا. أنا بخير أيضا means I am fine too. Shukran means thanks, and to say you are welcome is afwan.
Okay, great. So I just want you to get an idea about, you know, how people write it and how to say it, and the order and the male and female and that kind of thing. And so if you want to check this video out later, you can. We have other videos as well.
Arabic sentences and the meaning.
Sorry. Also, I wanted to let you know that we are working on Arabic exposure units or lessons for teachers or really for anyone. And they will be posted at this web address on the CMES website. If you want to copy that down, they are not currently posted yet, but hopefully within the next few weeks they will be there. So if you're interested to start learning a little bit about Arabic, learning the alphabet, and starting to learn to write a little bit and learning basic phrases to make basic conversation, then these would be great units or modules that you could use and take advantage of. Okay, so now, as I mentioned before, we have a quiz because you know, I wanted to see if you guys were listening and kind of give you a little bit of a challenge. So we're going to start with the first question. So, what is the family language of Arabic and Hebrew? Okay, so which language family are they from? Okay, you can just kind of say it to yourself, or you can type it into the chat if you want. It's up to you. So I'll give you a couple seconds. So, what is the language family of Arabic and Hebrew? Is it Chadic, Amharic, Central Semitic, or Southern Semitic? Okay, so if you answered correctly, you would have chosen C for Central Semitic. Okay, second question. In which periods was and is Hebrew a spoken language? You can select two answers. So the first one is 16th century AD, 20th century AD, 4th century BC, and D, 4th century AD. Give you a couple of minutes or seconds to think about that. Okay. So, when was Hebrew a spoken language? So it was 4th century BC. It was still a spoken language. And then also in the 20th century, it was a 20th century AD. It was beginning to become back as a spoken language as well. So it would be B and C. So in the 16th century AD, as we talked about, Hebrew hasn't disappeared, but it was used as a liturgical language during that time. And also the same thing for 4th century AD. By that time, there were no speakers of Hebrew. Okay, and let's see. So the third question, in which regions is Arabic currently the official language? Okay, in which regions is Arabic currently the official language? Okay, you can choose two. So A, Spain, Al-Andalus, excuse me, B, North Africa, C, Turkey, and then D, the Middle East. Okay, I've got some people saying B and D, which is correct. Great. Woo. So North Africa and the Middle East. Turkey, in Turkey, Arabic is not the official language. Turkish is. Some of the people there would know Arabic if they're Muslim, you know, from reading the Quran, memorizing the Quran, but it's not really a spoken language there. And then in Spain, obviously, in the past, it was, you know, Arabic was spoken there, but it is no longer spoken there except for, you know, Arabic speakers who live there, but it's not the official language there now. So, okay, great job. Most of you, I think, probably did pretty good on the quiz. It wasn't too hard, but hopefully it helped you to pay attention during the presentation. I also wanted to tell you that Arabic is the official language of 25 countries. So, as you said, the North Africa and the Middle East, but it's an actual total of 25 countries. So that's something interesting because, again, even though it's the official language of those countries, Modern Standard Arabic isn't anybody's native language. So in all of those countries, the language that they would use on a daily basis with their family and friends would be a dialect that's quite different from Modern Standard Arabic. So just another kind of interesting fact to tell you. Okay, so my part of the presentation is over. If you have any questions, you're welcome to type them into the box. Also, if you have any other questions you want to ask me later, you can email me. Here's my email, reneespellman@email.arizona.edu. Like I said, I will be emailing all of the presentations from the Cultural Festival today to you, as long as the presenter is fine with that. So you will get a copy of this if you're interested. And so let me check out. Okay, so we don't have any questions. So I guess that is the end of this presentation. Thank you again for attending and being here. And we hope you will attend the next 3 presentations. We have 3 more, one at 11 Mountain Standard Time, and then again at 12:30, and then again at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So we hope that you will join us for the next 3 presentations as well. So thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon. Oh wait, I have one question. Okay, is the Arabic of a place like Bangladesh the same as in the Middle East? So, excuse me, in Bangladesh, there may be some Arabic speakers, but again, mostly I think the people in that region would know Arabic from the, you know, as a religious language from the Quran. So learning it, you know, at religious school or Quranic school. So it's pretty unlikely that they would speak Arabic unless there is a Arabic speaking kind of community there. But yeah, so I would say that they would know it more so as a kind of a prayer language or to read the Quran. So yeah, great question. Are there any other questions? I'll wait a couple minutes if anybody wants to type them into the chat box, not the chat box, the Q&A box. Okay, great. Again, thank you so much for attending today, and we hope to see you later in the next 3 presentations. Bye-bye.